coming into today, I've joined the market, or come into the market a little bit later, following on from what I said yesterday. I'm going to be looking to sort of do my analysis now, about 10 minutes to go into the market open, and I'm going to be anticipating the markets from Q3, so about 9:45. Because, I'll put some screenshots on here. It's gone downhill. Let's not disregard that. That's the whole of this month. Obviously that $853 day was where I lost 2 trades that I shouldn't have taken. Lost the 1 contract I left overnight. So that's how that amounted. But regardless, we move on. We'll be trading 1 contract today. So I'm just going to look at doing some analysis now, getting off the markets until Q3. Coming back to them just before that so I can make my bearings on price and see where I want to go. Obviously yesterday we pushed down quite a considerable amount given the range we'd have in the days prior to that. ES is obviously still bullish. So is MNQ. All indices are technically bullish. If we're taking that daily overview, that weekly overview, we're looking bullish. Does that mean we're going to be trading bullish today? No, not necessarily. Do I expect a retracement back up to here? No, not today. Potentially next week for me would be my targets up here. Regardless of today, that's way too big of a move regardless, but at least for this week, I'm not really expecting to move up here until next week. Now, as for news, obviously we have FOMC today at 2 p.m. We also have Trump speaking at 2:30, and then we have unemployment claims at 8:30 tomorrow. So not much news for tomorrow. Fairly big day today, but again, it's not till 2 p.m. and we're in the AM session, so happy to trade. Now we have tapped off this low here on MNQ. Clearing out all these lows. Haven't created any sequential SMTs here, as far as I can tell. Drop it down to the 1 hour. We are now getting those sequential SMTs between Tuesday and Wednesday, Q2, Q3. That would lead me to maybe be pushing bullish today, given we have a 2-week open, given we have a previous day high here, and fairly little in the way of resistance going up towards those levels. Of course, we do just have the gap at the moment we have left. Obviously, we haven't closed for the day, but at the moment we're leaving this gap. Potentially, we can move up within that, close that gap a bit tighter, or indeed close it fully if price has that much volume, which I don't think it does for the day, but I can use these as strong draws if we were going to be moving up. Obviously we do still have targets on MNQ that could be taken out to the downside, and that would potentially be removed coming into Q3. We have highs here, as well as the fact we have ES just tapping off or near reaching its true week open, taking out its highs. along the way. Do have this gap here, but I'm not going to put much importance on that. Given we have had quite a considerable push up here from start of Q2 for the AM session, I would definitely be waiting for that micro Q3. Then we can be within Q3 of Q3, which will give us a much, I think, clearer entry here. Don't particularly want to be entering within Q2 or Q3, given we have these targets here still, given we haven't made any sequential SMTs yet on the New York AM cycle. So I think regardless of the fact today I was going to wait till Q3 anyway, for a psychology basis, I think waiting to Q3 here is more important given the technicals. And hopefully we can maybe see some sort of push up on NQ to take out at least this high, potentially reaching for these and keeping ES and YM potentially below that. The only thing I have just noticed, oops, is that YM has also stayed below here on that 5 minute, and it has stayed below on that. If we have a look on ES, we're also following the same pattern. So all indexes right now are below that low, with NQ at the highest. With NQ having those highs there, I could definitely see that pushing down. I think that's going to be my plan coming to the session. I think this is going to be a tricky open to try and gauge. But I'm going to, as I said, sit out for the open, pause the recording, minimize that training view, and I'll be back on at about 9:38. That should give me enough time to just get a read on where price is going prior to Q3 open. Okay, so 3:38 now. So we had quite a clear push off of that CISD here. Yes, we had that small sequential SMT there. Probably not something I would have entered on unless we could have got an entry down here. But it's not a bad trade all the way down to the 130 there. Regretting coming off that. No. It's good to stay off. We didn't even touch true macro session open, so it would have been quite a risky one to take for me. And we're obviously bouncing off. Yeah, we're actually at a time we actually would have had an SSMT here, which I would have taken priority over that one. So I wouldn't have been too worried about that. But that has given us some clear direction to the downside. Obviously, only thing is, still we have no sequential SMT here between these highs on any of the assets. So I think it still would have been good to hold off on that regardless for me. But let's just see. Coming into Q3, which is in exactly 5 minutes and 5 seconds, what we're going to get here. Pushing down quite a bit now, which, in some senses is good. It's giving us either very nice continuations lower, or we could be setting up quite nicely here for a long position. Either way, we will wait and see. have a look at this inverse gap on the NQ. See if we have any volume imbalances, which we don't. So we'll mark that out for there. We can see just how we react off of this here. Would be interesting. Turn on my positions here. So we are respecting 0.5 of that gap so far. Let's see how we react off that on the 1 minute. We could very well react off that given how ES is staying above its lowest by quite a more significant amount than NQ. Obviously, YM is actually fairly close to this low as well. Not much further than NQ, but regardless, it still hasn't taken it and is showing an unwillingness to do so at the moment. So we can see how NQ wants to react off this gap and off of these lows here. Obviously, it hasn't taken those lows just yet, but that would then give us quite a nice sequential SMT to be looking to trade off of. And we are getting some quite interesting price action on YM. Very interesting price action, where, you know, we're getting that SMT there, not sequential yet. So that could definitely be interesting to see how this plays out here, coming off of this first percentage gap from 9:30 onwards. There's ES pushing up quite a bit compared to the NQ. Now we seem to be getting that move on NQ. Still got just the end of this candle closure till we come into Q3. Look at that. And that worked there perfectly, respecting the bottom of that inversion gap. At PSPs, we have YM pushing up now. So we could start to look at planning out an entry here. Just putting that stop on there just to get us ready, should I want to enter this coming into Q3. But in this instance, I would want to wait for a bit more confirmation. I wouldn't want to trade purely off of the PSPs and the gap and the fact we tapped into a new day opening gap. Any normal day I'll be happy to buy right now, but at the moment, not yet. Not until I get some sort of cleaner move on YM, potentially looking at the end of this candle closure, because we have now had that. Well, it's tricky because we haven't had sequential SMT over the crossover. We had SSMT here, not SSMT, we've had SMT here. So again, that would be reasons for me to hold off at the moment. Again, we've got the MNQ showing that unwillingness to push higher at the moment, where ES is just ripping higher. Forming again a PSP there. If we can get some sort of a clean break on MNQ, could look to enter, but not yet. We've also got a 15-second chart open just on my other screen, but at the moment there's no gaps or anything on the 15 seconds, so I'm not too worried about looking there. And the 1 minute is telling a bit more of a story at the moment. I like to just leave this position on here just so I'm ready to go with my stop placed when I do want to enter. I know it's a bit visually distracting, but it's one less thing I've got to do. Now, depending how we want to class these highs, I was going to say we've had sequential S&T. We haven't between these highs, have we? Between here and here? Yeah, we have. Do we want to class that as a high? I'm not certain yet. If we can close below here, I'd definitely be happy to take a short with a stop right about here, because that obviously correlates with the stop here that forms that SSMT. On the YM, we have inversed that first presented gap on the 1 minute, but we are currently looking like we're going to inverse again to the downside. So there's a bit of to and fro at the moment between the assets for me. There we go, we just inversed that on YM. ES looking like it's respecting its gap, not willing to put any wicks down in the constant encroachment of that gap. And there we go. MQ taking out its low. Does ES want to take out its low, or does ES want to stay above it? That will be the deciding factor in what direction I want to trade here. YM is staying quite high as well. This is why I wait for Q3. And there we go. Equal lows. So we've got ES. There we go. Back to MES. No, I don't know if I can get short on here. No, I'm not going to be taking that. It's too much risk for me with that stop size. I could have anticipated that, but it's just not worth it. Not worth it at all. And that stop loss size isn't worth it either. Given the fact, you know, my main take profit is going to be looking here, looking here. That position wouldn't yield good. Mr. Reward. Especially when my account is about $500 away from loss limit. So still that TCISD right up here, that tiny sequential S&T is what has sparked all of this here. Or sparked an entry, at least. YM is still actually staying above its highs right up here. I'll bring that up here. YM is still showing that unwillingness to push lower. Does it mean anything for me right now wanting to short a little further? No, not really. It's interesting, we've actually left quite a considerable new day opening gap now. Given we've had that move down, which would probably, where are we? Let's go to regular trading hours. delete that. Mark it out up here. So that's interesting. Obviously, because our daily. Very interesting. Anyway, I'm not going to be looking to get a trade on unless I get some sort of clear entry. I'm happy to miss a trade today, realistically. Given the fact I am quite close to loss limit, I'd rather leave gains or leave contracts on the table rather than letting those sort of gains evaporate in a sense and taking losses. So I'd rather miss a day than take a loss, essentially. And right now, you know, it's a great setup for me. There's no doubt about that. If you disregard the SSMT here, if you disregard that and we bring ourselves back up to here, great setup. But unfortunately, the stock size wasn't something that was manageable for me today. Take me a week or two back, be happy to take a position from here, but not today. I think maybe if I'd have caught it slightly earlier, no, still going to be at $240. So when it's zoomed in so much, that doesn't look like much, but if we sort of come back and sort of zoom to correct our candles, you see just how big of a stop that really is visually. So it's not viable. You know, I mean, even on, I don't know, if I go back on 15 second, what sort of time was I looking at? 9:48. So at 48. So I had NQ obviously break structure at 48, which is when this candle started. It broke structure on the 15 second. Let's have a look at ES. Maybe should I even pay attention to ES on here? Potentially no. So ES hadn't actually broken structure until 48.45. Whereas NQ broke structure at, and I am aware price is pushing up, I'm just not interested quite yet. And NQ broke at 4800 dead on the 15 second. So anyway, there was an entry there, long story short. If I can get some sort of reasonable push up and a reasonable break back down, or at least confirmation back down, I'll be happy to continue this, given we've still got 13 minutes until Q4. I wouldn't necessarily want to be trading or entering within Q4. For me personally, it's not the trades I want to be taking at the moment. It's not somewhere I have experience in at the moment. So about 13 minutes time is cut off for me, really. We're getting very nice entries on ES by the look of it, but again, for me, ES is just not an instrument I trade. It's not an asset I trade. So I could get a position on here, but for me, it's not something I participate in. I only trade NQ. I've tried trading ES, but not for me. It's not for me. I often set my stops a bit too tight on ES, and ES I do find tends to move further than the NQ would, and it's not something I am too familiar with, is ES's movements outside of how I study it for quarterly theory. I don't study the ES for entries. I'm also not eliminating the idea of us pushing long here. Take a look quickly on the NQ, how YM is reacting. We never even broke below those 930 lows. 932, I should say. But I mean, if you're looking at YM, your overall bias is a very different story to what we're getting on NQ and ES at the moment. So I'm not necessarily ruling that out. Obviously, we've just had ES inverse gap here, as well as inversing this gap here. Have we come up to here yet? Not just yet. So it wouldn't necessarily be off the table to look for longs here. I tend to enter these positions less because I don't particularly like trading V-shape sort of recoveries off the bat, where we literally just push down and push up. That's not something I ever try to participate in. If I do take a trade off this, it would ideally just be to these highs here. It would ideally be to midpoint of this gap, which I believe was that 1 hour. Yeah, 1 hour. Maybe that got messed up a bit. That 1 hour inversion, I'm not sure quite what that was marking out, but anyway, talking about the 1 hour. So potentially, see that there. We could also see continuation short because ES could easily come out and take out its high here, leaving NQ not taking out that high, and obviously YM has long cleared those highs. And so then we could see some of the reaction with YM, given the fact that YM is obviously taking all of these highs here, taking those Q1 highs. That's not out of the picture to anticipate as well. So we've got multiple scenarios here I can be watching over the next 10 minutes or so. I am also just watching just how far ES wants to trade to that wick it's within. Does it want to clear it out? Does it want to just sort of trade within that wick and continue to push down? Don't know. Either way, it's not going to be a sequential SMT it forms, so it doesn't place too much importance on shorts for me. It's more just a case of how ES would then react off of that, because an SMT is still an SMT regardless of whether it's sequential or not, and I can still build up continuations off of that because we have already proven shorts in the markets today, so I can use it as a sort of supporting idea to an existing quarterly theory trade. We are getting quite strong moves down now. That inversion's on the 15-second for ES. See how we just react off this low here on NQ. Could be somewhere to look to trade short. I wouldn't yet, because ES hasn't necessarily shown me that yet on anything greater than 15 seconds, so I'm not worried about marking anything up just yet. Even if NQ is very much looking that way. Let's just see what our position looks like at the moment. So really, I've got a bit of room to work with here. I wouldn't want to push sort of any lower than here with my entries. So we might as well just leave that marked out for a minute. Never mind. Don't think we're getting short here, given how ES is reacting there. Unless it's just preempting people into longs. We shall see. Regardless, we've only got one more 5-minute candle until I'm going to be getting off as we then come into Q4. On a purely technical basis, we would definitely be taking longs here. I mean, overall, there haven't been that many opportunities in the markets this session. I mean, I'm looking here. I'm looking at that entry I did mark up. Yes, it is a valid entry for me. Is it the best entry I've ever seen? No. Is it one I could take? Yes. Is it a statistical loss if it hit a loss? Yeah, I think so. Is this a technically valid trade? Yes. Would I want to take this trade? No. Not really. If I was maybe at a point where my account was much larger than it is at the moment, I'd potentially throw a contract at this. Maybe just on this bit here, maybe looking at 15 seconds, maybe trying to enter somewhere around here. But for me, today, that's not a position I'd want to be taking. And at the moment, nor is whatever is for me right now. You know, everything's telling me long, but I know that is unlikely to happen. At the moment, we're likely to be pushing shorter unless we can get some sort of clear break, either that being on ES or NQ. I'd like to see YM. I'm not too concerned with how YM wants to trade within its range at the moment. It has taken out its Q1 highs. It is tapped into a balanced price range, and now it is just sitting above a low, below a high, within a sort of very small range. So I'm not too concerned about the YM at the moment. For me as well, if we're getting this little volume through the majority of Q3, really, we've sort of exhausted. I think we've exhausted this session from start of Q2. I mean, literally the start of Q2, all the way till about 9:52. So looking, you know, roughly 7-8 minutes into Q3, I think we've exhausted most of the movement for the AM session. And again, we've got FOMC in the PM session at 2 PM. So can I expect much to yield now through to Q4, Q1? No, not really. I think even if I was to take an entry here, let's say I was to trade long off of the inversion forming here. If we had have gotten it, which we haven't, let's just anticipate I did, and we did get that inversion, I would realistically be looking at some sort of scalping trade. You know, whether that's even just targeting a one-to-one, whether that's targeting a new day opening gap, that low there, that would be the position I'd be looking to want to hold to there. I wouldn't want to be holding to these highs. I wouldn't want to hold to 130. I wouldn't want to hold really even up to the 0.5 here. So I think leaving potential losses on the table today is the correct approach. And even potential wins, because had I have entered the trade here, even though I didn't because of the stop size, even if I had of that would have won. I would have hit break even right now just on that wick there, assuming my entry would have been right about here. So, you know, I wouldn't have made anything on that anyway, because it was a one contract trade. I wouldn't have been taking a partial off here. You know, I wouldn't want to be exiting here because at the same time, that's a big stop. I mean, let's just mark it up here. Just to see. It's a 0.75. So really I'm going to be targeting a one-to-one. I'm going to be targeting down here. And that would have hit break even. And I'd want to be out of that within this clustering here anyway. So there's not much to it today. And we are into Q4 now anyway. So I think I will leave it there for today, for this session. My last day of trading for the week is tomorrow. So obviously I have taken that loss yesterday, so I'm down for the week. I'll likely be down for the week anyway, given I'll only be trading a single contract tomorrow if I do get a trade on. As for news, obviously we only have those low impact unemployment claims tomorrow. I'll perhaps just trade maybe around, well not trade, but observe the markets around FOMC just for, you know, sake of studying. I may or may not record that, I don't know. But regardless, my next actual execution will be Thursday, Q3 of the week. Sorry, Q4 of the week.